It's pretty reflective of our season, to be honest. Promised a lot, but couldn't deliver in the end. And looking back on the video, what we actually did was looked at the scoring opportunities where we should have been, and when we do that, it's pretty stark in terms of we created more than enough opportunities to win that game. But we're just far too inaccurate. We do try and play a lot of rugby, but we have to balance that out at times with ensuring that we go through the phases and we actually do break sides down rather than trying to make the magic offload, which doesn't always work for us. And particularly when we do back-to-back errors, once you've done one error, you just need to calm things down and make sure you go through the phases. But yeah, I think it summed up our season really, that game.
Do you hope now in the playoffs, or is it just the Heineken Cup, or how do you view the final two games?
We just got to win the next two games, and that's all we can focus on. I mean, they're huge games in their own right. Europe is important to us, obviously, and we want to make sure that we're in the European competition next season, and to maintain control of that, we've got to win the next game, and then we've got to win the game after that. And it's as simple as that. Otherwise, it might be taken out of our hands.
Wouldn't deserve that, would you?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so, but some people might disagree with that. Yeah, I think that's the frustrating thing, because there's been a lot of good stuff, and we have, I wouldn't say we've gone off the rails, but we just haven't been able to finish off those tight encounters since really the start of the new year, and it's cost us heavily, and we could so easily be in a much different position to where we are. But as I say, that I think in performance-wise we've moved forward. Where we haven't moved forward is that mentality of winning matches, and that's where we really got to focus, and we've got to be hard on ourselves. We've got to realise it takes a certain type of focus and a certain type of mentality to do that. And right now, we're working hard to make sure that we put that in the team and in the individuals, because when you look at Munster, in lots of facets we outperformed them, but they had the mentality to win.
Big weekend in Scotland then.
Looks like it, doesn't it?
Yeah. The Dragons up there as well.
Yeah.
What are you expecting up there?
It's a very tough place to go, a very small pitch. They play to their strengths and they play to the field, and we've trained this week with a reduced size pitch because it's very relevant. You can kick from sort of 122 to the other 22 quite easily, and the side that probably wins the kicking battle and exerts the most pressure in that area will probably come out on top. So it's going to be a tough game. There's a bit of pressure on us, but you've got to deal with that, and that's what the players have got to be able to manage. And we've spoken about that and how we do that. And expecting a very tough encounter, but I'm expecting us to go out there and perform.
Who's that available to you? Anybody at this point? Or?
We've got John Davis will still be unavailable. Forward-wise, there's a couple of people still we're unsure of. Ben Morgan being one of them. Josh Turnbull and Rob McCusker didn't train today, but we're hoping they're going to be okay. So we're not going to finalise our team till Thursday.
Okay. Someone was to Nigel, Josh and
they took bangs during the game. Nothing serious. One's a slight calf strain and the other's a bit of a stub toe. So we just have to wait and see. I'm very hopeful that they'll come through.
When you look at the performance Toby Farter produced on the Dragons on Friday night, obviously people stood there and say he's got to be playing for Wales against the Barbars. There's only 2 rounds of matches left now.
Yeah.
Is this almost like the last chance for certain players now in terms of international honours this year and the World Cup?
Well, I think there's everything to play for. Obviously the league is pretty intense, and there's a lot to play for within the league. But with the World Cup coming up, players can sort of either make or ruin their reputations in 2 games quite easily, and particularly when the pressure comes on. So yeah, very important for the clubs and the regions involved, but also extremely important for the individuals, particularly with international ambitions.
Does it surprise you when you see Glasgow being told you've got to arrest 3 of their key players by Andy Robinson? Does that surprise you in terms of the league itself?
Well, I think it's, I think for our league to be as competitive as we need it to be, then size should have the opportunity to put out the strongest teams. And we all need that. We all want that. But I could also understand with the pressures and the demands on rugby players. There's a small pool of players in Scotland. We don't appreciate that as much as we've got four regions here, and that's quite a small pool of players. They've only got two, so they are utilised quite a lot. So I can understand the thinking behind it, but also I think there's a point where there's some key critical games coming up, and you'd like to think you're playing against the same sides that other teams have played against.
Magnus League strong enough now to talk again of a British and Irish League this year, but from a coach here, what is your perception of Magnus League over how it's developed?
I think it's extremely competitive league. Some very good sides in there, very difficult to win matches, and you've seen this year again that virtually everybody's capable of beating each other. You've got Munster will probably run away with it a little bit, but everybody else, it's still pretty tight. So it shows that the quality of the league. I do think there's some really attractive rugby going on there. I think all the Magnus League sides have fared well against the English team. So, yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about within the Magnus League. I think the quality of the play, the quality of the players, and it's as competitive as any league.
You've signed obviously a lot of players from within the squad for next season. Nigel, is still in recruitment terms looking outside and people in at the moment?
Yeah, I mean it's. I'm still hoping that we can do that, but we always got to work within the restraints of our budget. But we're trying to rebalance the squad in certain areas, and I'll continue to try and do that within the restraints of ensuring that. The region remains strong moving forward on a financial footing.
Because you've seen like New Zealand made a point this week about Ulster's financial power and bringing in a couple of players from the NPC and All Black Prop. Does that make it life even more difficult when you see not just French and English clubs having the money there, but rival Magnus League teams as well?
Well, I think if you've got the money in the first place, you have to sign wisely. I think Ulster have probably done that. Some good quality players in there who seem to have fitted in very well to what they do there. So I think that's important. It's all very well having the finances, but you've got to find the right people as well. And yes, of course, it adds to your squad. The experience as much as anything else, and the quality of play. And it's been a big factor for Ulster this year.
Yeah. What about Glasgow? Obviously, they were playoff. In the playoffs last year, they went off the bottom this year. Obviously, they lost a few players. How do you see them?
Well, it's tough. It's always difficult when you go away in the Magnus League. I think the environment suits their game. As I say, it's a very small pitch, and they know how to play that pitch. So that's the big challenge for us. They're definitely a threat. But from our point of view, predominantly this year we focus on ourselves, particularly after the last 3 or 4 performances where just our inaccuracies have cost us. It's not anything that we're doing as structurally. There's a lot of good stuff going on defensively. Since Europe, I think if we just take the games since the European game, we're probably second or third defensively in the league. There's a lot of good stuff happening. Apart from the fact we're just not nailing those wins, and that's the big issue for us, obviously, and the frustration. We're not going to change much of what we do. We're just going to get better at doing it.